Hi Libra, I'm here with your daily love reading for the day. I hope you're good. Welcome, thanks for joining me. So this will be a love reading, see what love messages want to come out for Libra. Okay, welcome. I hope you're all safe. Also this is for Sun, Moon, Rising and cross watchers as well. So what are the love messages for Libra? Okay, so first one out, we've got the Magician. Okay, some of you could be doing a lot of you know, manifesting heart's desires, you know, standing strong. You know, I have the power, I'm in charge of my thoughts, I have power over my thoughts, you know, manifesting heart's desires into reality, I'm in charge of my own destiny, you know, being creative, you know, creating magic, believing in magic, you know. Ooh, okay. Ten of Swords, Seven of Cups. Could be dealing with a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. And we've got Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. So maybe something is clouding your judgment. You know, maybe you suffered heartache or pain in the past, you know, and it ended badly. And, you know, maybe you need to release any fear or worry or doubt. You know, someone could have alcohol problems. You know, you could be just figuring out what's most important to you. Maybe you have to leave something behind. Any more on this Ten of Swords and this Seven of Cups? Okay. King of Cups. Two of Wands. Yeah, you're definitely dealing with a fellow fire sign. This could be your energy. Maybe you're planning, preparing to travel after the lockdown's been lifted. You know, maybe you want to communicate to something. You know, the world is your oyster. Maybe you want to travel, you know, like I said, just making a decision and being creative. You could be dealing with a water sign, a King of Cups. King of Cups here, you know. Tell me more about this King of Cups. Tell me more about this Magician, Seven of Cups, Two of Wands, King of Cups, King of Swords. Maybe something here had to end, you know, something has to end before. It's like maybe somebody needs to gain control over their emotions or something like that, you know, because he likes to be in charge of his own ship sort of thing. You know, he's creative, he's very artistic, creative, you know, he can conjure up magic, he can do anything, the Magician. He just has to sort of tap into his intuition, use his, you know, initiative. You know, the power is within him, you know, so there could be a lot of thinking, planning, preparing going on. I do feel that I feel that this came up before for you, that you was dealing with a water sign. Okay, we need some more on this King of Cups. Tell me more about this King of Cups. Maybe they're thinking about communicating to you, or you're thinking about communicating to them. Maybe they think that you make a good team. You know, maybe you're striving to get back into routine, work. You know, someone who is very creative and dedicated and passionate, and they've got a lot of willpower. But, you know, something clouds their judgment here. Maybe there's a third-party situation going on. Okay. Any more for Sagittarius, please? Tell me more about this Three of Pentacles. Anyone on this Three of Pentacles, please? Any more messages for Sagittarius? Anyone on this King of Cups? Okay. Wheel of Fortune. Five of Cups. Yeah, somebody here might have an alcohol problem, because there's quite a few cups here. It's like they use that to sort of combat something, to block out their feelings, to block out their emotions, to block out what's going on in the world, you know, all the pain, all the suffering, you know. Maybe you just want it to be over. Maybe you've had enough. You know, the Wheel of Fortune could be stepping in to let you know that powerful changes are coming in, then, you know, that you have to embrace change. It could be who you're dealing with. Maybe they've got alcohol problems and they use that to sort of block everything out as a sort of coping mechanism, if you will. You know, someone here really is embracing or needs to learn that they are in charge of their own destiny. They have the power to create, to manifest, you know, to tap into a higher source of power, such as your intuition. You know, I have the resources, I have the tools. You know, someone here is kind of drowning in sorrow, feeling sad. You know, maybe they feel regretful about going in a third-party situation. Maybe you're worried about the poverty, you know, the economy. What's it going to do for your business? What's it going to do for your job, for your finances? You know, like I said, someone here wants to put a plan into action, but maybe it involves traveling, and you can't travel at the moment. Maybe you feel trapped, you know. Also, someone here is serving some sort of karmic justice. It's like something's come back on them. You know, I do pick up someone here that's kind of stuck in a sort of repetitive cycle, stagnant energy. Maybe they're trying to contact you on the 5D, but maybe you're closed off, you know. Okay. Tell me more about this 5 of Cups. It's like someone is crying over spilt water. Yeah. There's remorse here, there's regret, there's sorrow. Someone is sad. Maybe something come to a painful ending, you know. Someone could have suffered betrayal, backstabbing. It's like someone's in a dark place. Something is overpowering their thoughts, you know. Maybe that's what they're working on, being in control of their own thoughts, being in control and in a line with their emotions. Maybe they're ruled by their emotions, you know. He is the king of emotions, isn't he? He is, you know, this 7 of Cups is really talking to me. I feel like this person struggles to make decisions with this 7 of Cups. What's most important to them? Something clouds their judgment. Could be fear, could be doubt. You know, they're over emotional, they're trapped in fear and anxiety, and, you know, they're in a dark place at the moment. They need to pull themselves out of it, you know. Maybe they're hoping that somebody will come in and help them, yeah. Someone's definitely got a problem with alcohol because it's blocking it and clouding their judgment at the moment. Tell me more about this 5 of Cups and this Wheel of Fortune. There's some sort of cycle here that I feel that's, you know, it's karmic justice, but some sort of cycle that keeps repeating itself because someone here might not have learned their lesson, you know, or they have learned a painful lesson, you know. Okay, so you could be dealing with a water sign. Might be having a water sign coming towards you with some news. It could be you. Maybe, you know, you're going towards your destiny, fulfilling your destiny, fulfilling your heart's desires, manifesting, you know, leaving painful cycles behind you, teamwork. Look, you could be going into business with someone, you know. So we've got the 8 of Wands and the Knight of Cups, you know. So you're definitely dealing with a fellow fire sign, you know, or you're dealing with a water sign, a Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. So there could be a water sign coming towards you with a cup of love, a proposal, romantic offer, you know, and I just feel, because of the surrounding cards, I feel that this person can't make up their mind. They don't know what they want. They're all over the place, sort of in and out, in and out. Bit of a daydreamer. It's like they're drunk on love. They can be quite manipulative. You know, he can be a trickster. He can be manipulative. He can toy with people's emotions if you look at it in a negative aspect. Okay. Okay. What was that? Yeah, this person, they overthink too much. It could be you. Maybe you feel trapped and restricted and tied down, you know. You like to be free. You're a lion. You know, you could feel like a caged lion at the moment and you're screaming and no one can hear you. You know, someone's definitely codependent on something that clouds out their judgment, whether it be alcohol, whether it be drugs. Okay, so we've got the Page of Wands. It's that someone is thinking about communicating or going towards something or someone, pursuing their heart's desires, going on a journey, you know, embracing their spiritual side, you know, really embracing their destiny here. There's a lot of thinking, planning, preparing going on. You know, you are definitely dealing with, it could be the same person, it could be 2 different water signs. Maybe you've got a new person coming in, yeah, with communication, you know, even if it's just a tiny bit, you know. This person is kind of drunk on love. That's what I keep hearing. maybe they feel that you make a great team here. Yeah, teamwork, power couple. We're more stronger when we're together, sort of thing. Yeah. So this Page of Wands, so there's definitely communication coming in, even if it's just a tiny bit from this water sign, you know, coming in with their cup of love, you know, to offer you something, you know, love, romance, you know. There's something here that someone's going through some sort of pain, betrayal, sadness. Maybe they had to heal from something. Maybe you had to heal, you know. Maybe you've left someone behind and you've got this new person coming in. Okay, what was that? Oh, I thought that one wanted to come out. Any more on this Eight of Wands and this Page of Wands? Maybe this person just can't figure out what they want. Yeah, it's like they need to free themselves from something. From whatever's clouding their judgment. It could be you that feels trapped, you know. But I do feel that this person might be afraid to open up because they feel that it's over with you, you know, for whatever reason. I'll pull more cards, but I feel that this person is all over the place, drunk on love, and isn't in line with their emotions. There's sort of an imbalance going on here. You know, maybe somebody found out something about someone that was painful, you know, a painful truth, a painful revelation, you know. Maybe somebody was tired of somebody's alcohol dependency, but someone needs to free themselves from some sort of, you know, shadow self, illusion, you know, trapped in their own thoughts, fear, anxiety, making a subconscious and a, you know, making the subconscious. And then there's conscious, right? Someone's got a frightened ego thing going on here. So you've got the moon, the sun. This is your card. Yeah? So as I said, whether it's your person or who you're dealing with, this could be you. But you definitely miss being free and liberated. That's how you like to be, your own free spirit. Happy, free, travelling, going on holiday, that sort of thing. Embracing your inner child. That's your card there. You know, you miss being free, you feel restricted, you feel tied down, okay? Maybe you're trapped in fears and worry, you know? You just want this to be over, this worldly pandemic, this restriction. You miss routine, you miss work, you miss going out. You know, maybe you can't see someone at the moment and it's causing you sadness and heartbreak because you miss your loved ones. You know, you miss your beloved, you know. Maybe you can only communicate on social media at the moment because you're not allowed to visit people, you know. But I definitely feel if this is a romantic nature, they're afraid to come towards you and they can't seem to free themselves from all this negative thinking, all this, you know, doubt, worry. If this person's got problems with embracing change, they're very indecisive and they're very confused. You know, they can't seem to make up their mind. It's like they want to reach out, communicate. They're trapped in some sort of fears. You know, maybe their fear is that it's over with you, or you've walked away, you've gone with someone else. There's two different people here. You could have left an old water sign and then there's this new person that you're interested in. You know, someone new coming in with communication, you know, which could be more beneficial to your life. You know, you're driven by desire. You know, you want to feel achieved, you want to feel accomplished, success, you want triumph. You know, you don't like to be trapped. There's more on this moon. Yeah, there's too much thinking. It's like someone's waiting for something to be over. Could be a worldly pandemic. Maybe you're waiting for them to communicate. They definitely want to reconcile with you. Maybe somebody's blocking out something here. It's like someone's waiting for their ships to come in, sort of thing, you know. You know, maybe they've turned their back on something at the moment. They can't see straight. Because, you know, I picked up alcohol dependency here. You've got the Three of Wands, Eight of Pentacles, Ace of Cups. So this person, I definitely feel that, I think this came up last time, you either want to put an old cycle behind you that was painful, Maybe somebody had someone else, or someone couldn't make up their mind, they don't know what they want. Okay, and then you started a new relationship, or you want to start a new relationship with someone, with the Ace of Cups. Okay, this Eight of Pentacles. You know, maybe you feel that it didn't work with this other person, and with this new person it does. You know, there's definitely a lot of decision making, thinking, planning, preparing here. Someone here who's very dedicated, very passionate, very hardworking, you know, really sort of a perfectionist, puts their all into things, you know. And with the Magician there as well, like I said, somebody here, maybe they're finally realizing that they're in charge of their own destiny. They can do this, they have the power to create, to manifest, feeling abundant, you know. So with this Ace of Cups, some of you are definitely starting a new relationship, I feel. You're already in another relationship and you've left something that was painful behind you. Yeah. Manifesting abundance, manifesting love, you know, prosperity, joy. You know, someone here is very overwhelmed with love. They get overwhelmed with their feelings and emotions and love, and, you know, they definitely want to work things out with you, if this is the case. Okay, tell me more about this Eight of Pentacles. Yeah, someone definitely wants to speak their truth here, that's what I feel. Bit of a crown chakra activation there. You know, mental clarity. Someone could be bringing in their sword of truth, you know, bringing clarity to a situation. If you needed reassurance, if this person is still interested, you know, or if it's a new person coming in to tell you how they feel. Maybe they didn't want to, maybe they held back because they thought you was involved with someone else, you know, but then you left that behind you because it was too painful or toxic, or this person was involved with someone else. You could be manifesting a new relationship with someone else. So with this Ace of Swords, I do feel if it is the same person or a new person, you know, there's going to be light brought to a situation. You know, there is a bright side to a situation. Not everything is painful and doom and gloom and dark, you know. I do feel that you walked away from something here. I believe you walked away from something, from someone else, and then you went into something else, if you know what I mean. Okay, so you've got Eight of Cups. So if it's not your person, it'll be you walking away from something to something better, something more beneficial, something more honest and true, and where there's no other people involved, such as multiple lovers, multiple choices. Eight of Cups is walking away from things that don't serve you anymore. Okay, a cycle has ended, and then you start a new one, a new relationship. And I really feel at the moment you are manifesting a new relationship at the moment. The person that you're involved with, hang on a sec, Eight of Cups. This could be going towards something as well. I feel that this person coming towards you with truth and honesty. Okay, so we've got the Page of Swords. You're definitely dealing with an air sign. It's like someone's getting ready to let their guard down and speak their truth, you know, and not be so cold with their words and guarded, you know, like I said, communicate, be truthful. Maybe in the past somebody was quite sharp with their words, you know, revealed the truth to someone and they didn't like it and it was painful, you know. Okay. And around this Page of Swords and Eight of Cups, definitely starting a new relationship, definitely here. Manifesting of a new relationship here. There's a lot of manifesting. I feel that it works out better with this other person because the other person doesn't know what they want. They're sort of all over the place, you know. Okay. This new relationship is more emotionally fulfilling. That's what I feel here. Could be dealing with a fellow fire sign. Okay. Definitely a lot of waiting going on. Waiting, you know. for something to be over here. Someone's definitely had time to re-evaluate a situation, re-evaluate their finances, you know, open up their throat chakra. You know, they could just be activating all their chakras and opening up, you know, if it is the same person. So you've got 7 of Pentacles, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo energy there. You know, there is a lot of thinking, planning, preparing, anticipating and decision making going on. This could be you. Maybe you're coming up with creative ways to better suit your finances. You know, this person knows it's going to be a challenge with you, whether it's an old person or a new person, but it's going to be worth it, okay? You know, there's been times, it could be you, where you thought about giving up, leaving it all behind, going it alone. You know, that's why the 7 of Pentacles is there, and the Wheel of Fortune is saying keep going, you know, persevere, it's going to be worth the wait. Yeah. You've got the power, you know, you can do this, you know, you can master this, the knowledge, the power, you know, you can do this, you can manifest this into something, you know, beautiful. You know, it might seem little right now, but you can do this. Look, see? So you've got Temperance and the Magician, yeah? There is definitely manifestation going on with to do with heart's desires, new relationship. If you haven't already started one, I believe that you want to start one with someone, such as another water sign here, okay? This could be your person as well. Like I said, reevaluating, rethinking a situation, retracing their steps, you know, gaining sort of mental clarity, learning self-control, mastering strength and balance, learning a new way of life, a new environment, embracing their destiny, embracing change, walking away from things that aren't good for you. You know, it didn't have that zhuzh, if you know what I mean. You know, you're driven by desire, and if you don't find something exciting, and if you find it dull and it's not emotionally fulfilling, you walk away, because that's how you are. You're driven by desire, you know. And this new person is more exciting for you, you know, he or she, you know, it's more exciting, it's more, you know, beneficial. It's more exciting. That's what you are. You know, you like to be in excitement. You're adventurous. You like passion. You know, you like to travel. You like to go places. Maybe with this other person, they made you feel a bit stagnant and a bit stuck, because they were always stuck to their past or stuck to another person. You know, but someone who's really embracing their destiny. You know, leaving behind all the sadness, you know, all the cycles that drain you and make you feel sad, you know, and going towards something better. Look. So there is definitely someone here that wants to balance something out with you, work something out with you, offer you this new relationship, this new start, this cup of love, this romantic offer, fulfill their destiny, you know, manifest this connection, manifest this relationship, you know. And I feel like that a lot of you have to go within at the moment, because that's all you can do at the moment. So you've got the Hermit, okay? So you could be dealing with a Virgo, you could be dealing with a Sagittarius, fellow fire sign, or an earth sign, okay? So I do feel that if you are feeling sad and lonely at the moment, if you are feeling, you know, all alone and that there's no one there for you, you know, I do believe that all the answers you seek are from within. You know, any magic, any guidance, answers, you just have to stop and stand still and go within, and it's all there. So someone is definitely gaining mental clarity here, you know, and like I said, practicing and focusing, that sort of strength testing sort of thing, that method, you know, of mental clarity. You know, you have to be mentally competent and 100% healed before you know, approach a twin flame connection or a person or a relationship, because if you've still got resentment to do with your past, you won't be open and 100%, you know, in it, if you know what I mean. Your mind is going to be somewhere else, you will be somewhere else, you know. So any painful cycles, you know, you need to wrap them up and leave them behind, you know. As I said, we've had a lot of time to learn and, you know, gain control of our thoughts and be in control of our thoughts. You know, thoughts are very powerful, you know. we get overwhelmed by our thoughts and emotions, and where we've been at home and stuck, and you know, we've had a lot of time to reflect and go within and think and gain clarity and listen to our voice of truth, voice of reason, tap into our intuition, tune into our spirituality, embrace change, put things in perspective, leave behind all the sadness, all the guilt, leave behind bad cycles, and you know, have a fresh start in life. You know, release any doubt, any fear, you know, that clouds your judgment, it affects your thinking, you know, the way you see things, you know, and sort of let your guard down, you know, and go towards your destiny, embracing change. Yeah. And I do feel with this person, if this is the case, yeah, they're in a sort of hermit mode, isolation mode. Maybe they feel lonely. I definitely feel someone here is waiting for something to be over, some sort of pandemic restriction, before they can come and see you, go travelling, you know, see each other physically. Yeah. Okay, tell me about this hermit. They're being intuitively guided towards the light. There will be no more darkness. There will be light in this situation. There is a brighter side to the situation. Okay. You don't really like to dwell in misery. Okay. You like happier days. You like brighter days. Okay. You've got your card there. Could be saying goodbye to an old life, an old self, an old way of thinking. Yeah. Frightened ego, subconscious fears. Yeah. Just leaving it all behind, because it's not good for you. You know, it's not good for your mental clarity, you know, your mental state, your mental health. But you know, if you are waiting to hear from someone, if it is a new person you're starting a relationship with, like I said, there's a lot of waiting, planning, waiting for this restriction to be lifted so you can travel and see people, wanting to work things out. Yeah. Someone here is full of willpower. That's what I feel. Willpower. Where are the Seven of Pentacles? Yeah, someone's definitely going through some sort of healing process. You could be healing from past betrayal. You've got the Star, so you could be dealing with an Aquarius. Okay, so someone here is definitely healing from some sort of past hurt, some sort of betrayal, you know, a healing, a purifying, you know, sort of period in their life. You know, someone here is very spiritual. They could be embracing their spiritual side, embracing their spirituality, still on a soul searching sort of spiritual journey here. Okay, you know, like I said, I feel this is related with this Temperance. Bit of this, bit of that, ebb and the flow, yin and yang, learning this, learning that. You know, there's a lot of mastering and manifesting going on, you know, agility. Okay, now with this Star card, I feel that, you know, this new person is more beneficial to your life. He's more on your level, he or she. You know, this is like a wish fulfillment. I see this. Hope, faith, wish fulfillment, healing. You know, definitely healing from something that was painful and that you had to leave behind. Okay, maybe somebody was, maybe you thought it was love with somebody else, you know, in another relationship, but they were involved with someone else, they loved someone else, and you could see that. You know, the Star card is all about healing. If it is the same person and you want to give them another chance, put all the bad and bad cycles behind, maybe they're coming back to heal a connection. Someone definitely had to learn self-love, you know, and they had to go through some sort of healing cycle, some sort of healing stage, you know, and sort of go within. There's a part of their self that they had to heal. It could have been you, okay? But someone here is very spiritual, you know, connecting with their ancestors there. You know, you've got the little bird there, which represents, again, communication. You know, especially if it's a romantic nature, you know, the Star card is beautiful. Okay, tell me about the Star. They see you as a wish fulfillment, okay? Or you them. if it's an old person, new person, they see you as wish fulfillment, you know, wish upon a star. This is about remaining hopeful, okay? Remaining hopeful, okay? Anywhere on this star card? Anywhere on this star card? Okay. Queen of Swords. Maybe somebody learned, you know, a valuable lesson, a painful truth, a valuable lesson, you know. So the Queen of Swords. So maybe somebody learned not to be so cold and sharp with their words. You know, maybe the person you was around, such as the previous person, was cold and sharp with their words and made you sad. But because there's two water signs, a knight and a king, this could be you. You know, you could have the traits of an air sign. You could be standing your ground, setting boundaries, cutting cords with things, look, banishing things out of your life that aren't good. You know, this could have been the person that your person was involved with, such as an air sign. You know, maybe they want to... She's a bit of an ice queen. She doesn't really show emotion. But because she came out after the star card, this could be you. Maybe you're learning, you know. This could be you. Anyone on this Queen of Swords? Anyone on this Queen of Swords? Maybe somebody's learning to be more forgiving. Somebody could be learning forgiveness, you know. Maybe you need to heal something from your past in order to move on. Maybe you're learning forgiveness, you know. You need to heal a part of your past or a part of yourself. Learning to forgive, learning to heal, learning to forget, you know, to put something behind you. Someone's definitely around an air sign. Okay, could be the person that you're dealing with. You know, maybe somebody's quite demanding here. You know, maybe you don't want anything to do with a past person, so you've got your guard up. You know, you're being sharp. You know, she's quite demanding. She, like I said, she can be a bit emotionless. She doesn't like people that don't communicate and that aren't honest and that are involved with other people. Someone here definitely wants or needs to learn forgiveness and self-love, because the star card is all about healing, but forgiveness as well, you know. Someone's definitely sharp with their words, cold, doesn't show emotion, doesn't show love. You know, this could have been you in the past, that, you know, maybe you've gone through something, some sort of spiritual awakening, and it's changed how you think, you know, made you a bit more compassionate, you know. Because the star card is also about compassion. So maybe somebody's not such a nice queen anymore because of the surrounding cards. Hang on a second. Okay. What around this Queen of Swords? Around this Queen of Swords, please. Could be you. You know, like I said, standing your ground. You know, you've set boundaries, you're standing your ground, and you've walked away from bad cycles, okay? And then out with the old, in with the new. Yeah, this could be your person. This can represent male or female energy. They're coming in with their sword of truth, look. You know, very mentally competent, bringing clarity to a situation. They're going to stand their ground, fight for you, put things right. Manifest this connection again, you know. Could be a new person, maybe same-sex relationships here. Maybe you've got this new person coming in that also wants to fight for your affections. You're going to have like sort of multiple love offers coming in here. There's quite a few women here. Yes, it could be same-sex relationships. Maybe someone's embracing their sexuality here. Okay. Okay, what about this Queen of Swords? What about this Queen of Swords? if there's delays, you know, or obstacles, it might mean that either you or your person or who you're dealing with needs to let something go, or they need to look at things from a different perspective. Okay, I know she can be an ice queen, and she can be quite cold and sharp and demanding with her words. You know, she's emotionless, but someone here's definitely learnt some sort of lesson, some sort of truth. Someone's learning forgiveness here. Someone is showing compassion. You know, maybe somebody's gonna, you know, surrender to their destiny here. You know, leave something behind. Definitely something here that's been left behind. Also, this is about changing your perspective. You know, the way you look at things, creative ideas, sacrifices. You know, the Hangman. Yeah. Maybe you just had to gain perspective. You know, look at things differently. Go within. You know, with this Hermit card. You know. But someone is definitely showing more of a sort of gentle side, a sort of compassionate side. You know, they've learned compassion. They've learned to show compassion. They've learned forgiveness. They've learned to show more emotion, you know. Usually, when you feel stuck, all you have to do is go within. And, you know, it all comes to you. Yeah. Because this is about coming up with creative ideas as well, this Hangman, you know. If things feel that they're at a standstill at the moment, it could be that at the moment all you can do is talk to your person on the phone, sort of thing. You know, you can't travel, you feel stuck, everything is at a standstill, there's delays, you know, there's a lot of inconvenience going on in the world. You know, you have to learn to adapt to this new way of life, this new environment. It's scary, isn't it? No one knows, you know, what's the outcome, you know. You just have to hope, you know, for powerful changes, better things coming in, you know. Also, it could be you or your person that has completely closed off and disconnected from social media because they just want to block everything out. They just want to be left alone. Look, and that's why they could be setting boundaries there, look, standing their ground. It could be you. Maybe you have gone off social media, you know, you just need time, you know, to reflect, you know. To just go within, you know, you just need to block everything out, listen to your own thoughts, listen to your own head, you know. Okay, so Three of Swords. Someone, like I said, someone definitely, I picked that up straight away actually, walked away from a third party situation, whether it be you or whether it be who you're dealing with, and they're all the same person and that person's coming back. But I feel this is you. I feel with this Three of Swords, like I said, somebody definitely was learning how to forgive someone for any betrayal, any heartbreak, any suffering that they caused them. You know, healing that part of your life, walking away. It could be you, maybe you was involved with a third party situation and you were the third person and you walked away. Because like I said, I think this come up before as well, there's two different water signs, okay? It's like they're in love with someone, such as an air sign, they went to them, then they come back to you, left you hanging, backwards and forwards, you know, like I said, drunk on love, daydreamer, toying with someone's emotions, you know, and someone definitely walked away from a third party situation, or they feel regretful about going in a third party situation, you know, they feel regretful and they're feeling stuck, you know, they had trouble struggling to make changes and sacrifices in their life and adjustments. This is about changes and adjustments as well, you know, but you know, it doesn't always have to mean, you know, a third party situation. Although I think it does, because there's quite a few energies in this reading. It can just mean walking away from a cycle that is painful and that's not good for you. It's not emotionally fulfilling, it's dull, it's served its purpose, it's time to leave it behind. You know, maybe you need to heal that sort of part of your life, you know, learn forgiveness, you know, put it behind you. Maybe that's why you feel stuck. Maybe you're still tied to something, some sort of cycle, you know. You might need to sort of show compassion or show healing. You know, it could be your person, that's why they're feeling stuck, because they need to walk away from a third party situation, even though they know it's not healthy, it's not good for them. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe the person that they're involved with has found out that, you know, about someone else or something like that. I think this come up previously as well for you. You know, someone here is definitely setting boundaries. Look, they're sharp with some of you, okay? But I do feel that if this is the case, yeah, somebody has walked away from a third party situation, okay? Okay, so also this could be you making, you know, changes in your life, adjustments, sacrifices to better suit you, you know, because like I said, you're driven by desire, you know. You don't like dull, you don't like the Chariot. Yeah, something has motivated you. You know, it could be you, or it could be your person that had a wake-up call, you know, a reality check to leave a third-party situation, to seize the day, to seize the moment, to relight the spark, you know, the chemistry between you, the bond, you know, and come towards you with some sort of stability, you know, some sort of solid offer, you know. Someone here is very, very highly driven, very highly energetic, full of willpower. Something has motivated this person to walk away from something, or go towards something better. It could be you. Maybe you want to go traveling. You could be buying a new house, buying a new vehicle, even a new car. You know, this is all about willpower and, you know, showing your strength and showing your teeth and being in charge of your own life. Look, seizing the day, seizing the moment. Yeah, someone here could have a military background. You know, this is all about movement, progress, traveling. You know, you just want to go forward, you don't want to go backwards. Yeah, so with some of you, yes, you could be, like I said, learning forgiveness, learning compassion, standing strong. You know, you like to be on the move. You don't like to be tied down, trapped. You know, like I said, you're driven by desire. Okay, there is a bright side to the situation. Okay, now with this Chariot, something is motivating you or whoever you're dealing with. Okay, you know, like I said, you feel very, very motivated, inspired to pursue happiness, you know, to pursue your dreams, your heart's desires, to pursue something better. All I keep hearing is new, new, new. I want something new. You know, you're leaving any painful cycles, you know, anything that's not good for you, you're leaving it in the past. It could be you setting boundaries. Okay, you're standing strong there with your sword of truth, you know, the sword of clarity, you know. Get some more on this Ace of Wands and this Chariot. This is about being in control of your own life as well, you know. You know, you want celebrations. You like to go out, you like to be adventurous, you're full of excitement, you're raring to go, you know. You want victory, but, you know, especially within yourself as well. You don't want to be in a place or in a relationship where you feel like you're wasting your time. Okay, Six of Wands. So this could be your energy, you know, fire energy, okay. So this new relationship that you're starting here, it looks very successful. It looks like a victory, success. You know, there's going to be victory here. You know, your endeavors, your ideas, your projects, it's all going to be victory here. Okay, there is a bright side to every situation. See, look, yeah, it can't be dark forever. Yeah. So there will be victory, there will be success, celebrations, seeing family again, you know, and the sad times and the painful times, you know, you will learn that, you'll master that, to put that behind you. Okay, out with the old, in with the new. This is all about celebrating your accomplishments and your achievements and your success, hard work, you know, standing strong, being in your power. Look, the power of the Magician, see? changing your perspective, changing, you know, how you see things, being in control of your own thoughts. You know, you have the power over your own thoughts, how you think, how you see things, you know, realizing that you are in control of your destiny. You have the power, you know, you can do this, to manifest, to create, you know, there's going to be victory here, there's going to be success, you know, things are moving in your favor, you know. So if you just change how you look at things and how you see things, then, you know, because if you're trapped in fear and worry and doubt, and you're looking at things from a negative angle or a negative perspective, that's what you will see. That's how it will seem. If you just change the way you think and your perspective and, you know, the way you look at things, you know, then light will be brought to a situation. There is a bright side to the situation. If you're craving freedom, if you're craving liberation, if you're craving passion, if you're craving to travel, to go on holiday, that's what will happen, you know. You just have to sort of, like I said, go within, you know, mentally believe that that's what's going to happen, you know. Mental clarity, mentally sort of, you know, if you will it, so it be. Yeah? If I will it, so it be, you know. So any passions and heart's desires and dreams, you know, you will manifest that. The universe is on your side. Look, you've got the Wheel of Fortune there. See? Choice and free will. Yeah? I will it, so it be. There's powerful changes coming in. Look, if you just change the way you look at things, this could be who you're dealing with as well, you know. Maybe they're a very negative thinker. Maybe they need to change the way they look at things. Stop overthinking a situation and communicate and talk to you, you know, this new person. Because in all honesty, I don't think that you want anything to do with the past, because it ties you down. It makes you feel trapped, stuck. Yeah? You want new. Excitement, freedom. You want to go travelling, you want to go on holiday. Yeah? Definitely manifesting a new relationship here. You know, I feel that with this new person, like I said, they're more beneficial to you. Yeah? Looks like this person's going to play quite an important role in your life as well. There's always been a spark there, there's always been a chemistry, you know, and the spark has been relit. This looks like a match, and, you know, the spark's just been relit, you know, this Ace of Wands. You know, creative ideas, decision making, you know. So whoever you choose to go with, and I think it'll be the new person, because as I said, you don't like to hold on to old things, old cycles, because it drags you down. You know, you're a lion. You like to be free and independent and, you know, passion, you know, excitement. You know, you don't like to be tied down and chained and dwelling on an old cycle or an old relationship. Yeah? You have the power. You can do this. A magician can be powerful if you just change the way you look at things. I have the resources. I have the power. I can do this. I can manifest and create my dreams and heart's desires into reality. Look. Yeah? To infinity and beyond. You know? Because the infinity symbol is about divine faith as well. You know? Put your faith into the universe, into the divine, but have faith in yourself as well. You know? If I could just master my thoughts and change my thoughts and the way I look at things, you know, the resources, the mentality, you know, your perspective, the way you look at things, tap into your intuition, tap in, you know, and listen to your inner voice, go with your own judgment. Yeah? And like I said, with this person who wants to talk to you, even if it's just a tiny bit, you know, but so there is communication coming in. Yeah. Yeah, I'm confident about that. So let me know if this resonated. I hope it was insightful. I hope it helped. Okay. Also, if you're new, give me a like, give me a subscribe, join my channel. If you need to know anything, just give me an email. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And yeah, and I'll see you again real soon with some more reading. Peace, love and blessings. Love you all. Mwah.